Welcome back, Old Dominion University esports fans. Today we are going to be starting off with a fantastic matchup of your ODU Overwatch team versus Marymount University. As always, I'm James Doherty.
I'm Benjamin.
And we are excited for this matchup. This is Old Dominion's current rank standings is 1-3 and Marymount's is 0-4. So this is pretty early in both teams' seasons. So they've got a lot. Both are really looking for a win here to kind of boost themselves up, get that momentum flowing on for later in the season when it's really going to become critical to win a ton of matches. So this is definitely a critical match for both teams.
So we're going to be starting off game 1 with control, and then we'll be getting into hybrid and escort as well in game 2s and 3. And also in game 4 will be assault with 2 caps.
And these are the different game modes that will be played on the maps. We don't have the maps as of yet. I believe that they're still doing the map choices. So if we find those out before it starts, we will let you know. But these tend to get picked at the last second by the teams just because it's a lot easier to figure that all out right before you start and then move into it. So we do have everybody in the game for both sides right now, but we're just waiting on them to finalize up on...
We're waiting for the okay for both sides.
Yeah. And so it looks like they are going to be choosing maps in just a moment. But until then, we're going to go to a short break until the first map starts. And so don't go anywhere. Stick around and make sure to keep watching for the first map of this Overwatch game. All right, and it looks like we're off on our first map. So this map is Oasis. This was Marymount University's pick, as they did win the coin toss at the start of this matchup. So ODU is going to be trying to win on this control map pretty quickly, and that's going to be achieved by getting your players onto the control point itself and holding it for as long as possible until you get to 100% control of it. And your opponents are going to be trying to do the same thing. See pretty good use of that teleport there to get ODU up to the front as fast as possible. They're moving in right now. And we see some of that combat starting here.
As you point out, you want to get early control in this game mode, because getting early control will give you the advantage to get some angles and try to get some kills while they try to attack in.
We see ODU really attacking as a team here. If they're going to be able to pull this off, and it looks like 3 kills going to the side of ODU, but 2 on ODU going down. The point is contested right now, so nobody has any captures on it. But ODU does seem to have the numerical advantage on it as they wait for their team to come back in. And they're able to start capturing this point, and now they are scoring percentage. They're going to be setting themselves up ahead to try to stop any attacks earlier so they don't get pushed off the point, and they have a little bit of area to retreat back to. And ODU already with a bit of a setup there.
You can see Index playing the support role for his team.
And it looks like Marymount's attack onto this point has begun. ODU up already to about 20% capture. So they're going to be looking to stall this attack. And we see 2 eliminations coming out to the side of ODU. And that's a third. ODU's going to be... has already pretty much stalled this attack. And Marymount's going to be retreating back to regroup. And that's going to give ODU probably another 20 to 30% of that capture, as long as they just stay here and keep holding on to it. ODU's going to want to try to heal up a little bit and wait for that next Marymount attack to come in.
Every second is valuable in this game mode, and ODU is making sure of that.
And then we see another attack coming in from Marymount. ODU able to get some movement on, and they're starting to get a little bit of a flank going on Marymount. And we see 4 go down on the side. 5 go down to Marymount. And not quite a team wipe, but...
You can see the Marymount tanks trying to get into the position and everything, but ODU is just capitalizing on playing its defense and getting the tanks out pretty early.
And ODU already getting to about 3/4 of the way done on this capture. There might be only 1 or 2 more fights left on this map if Marymount's not able to get their hands on that point. And ODU pushing up pretty far to stop this attack as Marymount tries to retreat out, losing 3 of their players. 4 players. ODU pushing them all the way back into spawn. They're going to hold them in here for the last 10%. This is last fight territory. And that means that Marymount is going to be putting everything in on this map. And we see 2 go down to ODU, go down for ODU, and 1 going down on the side of Marymount.
And that'll be it. That'll be the round for ODU. You could see easily in that round that ODU just won a lot more gunfights than Marymount did.
And a lot of that did come down to that early control, as you mentioned. It was so difficult for Marymount to be able to get back onto that point because ODU was already set up on defense. And that meant that every attack that stalled for Marymount was just more points in the bank for ODU. And they're going to be hoping to repeat this on the second round here. A bit of some slight changes to the setup, it looks like.
Mostly the same lineup, though.
And we'll see how it fares for both sides. ODU coming out, again, with a pretty early teleport to get that extra movement advantage. If they're able to get onto that point first, they're going to secure a advantage early. Good use of that Diva Mech to get that high ground. And we're seeing ODU already getting a bit of a flank going off here. Getting around Marymount's tank to get that first kill off. And a second one going out to Optimal. Niche pulling out 2. And ODU is going to finish that fight up pretty quickly to start securing that objective and start earning points. And that was just really good gameplay by ODU. Getting around to that side there I really liked because it allowed ODU to get past that shield that was up and attack from the sides and behind, which essentially negated the tank's advantage on Marymount's side.
You could see the ODU tank actually flank on their tank as well when he was trying to shield him up from the other opposing fire. And with that flank gave ODU the chance to get the fire from behind and actually get all of them down so they can get these early points.
And we see that second Marymount attack coming in. ODU is able to pull off 3 quick eliminations quickly, only losing Beep Cheap. But Aristos was getting pretty low there.
And you can see the Roadhog getting taken down there for Marymount.
And ODU's going to keep holding on to this point and scoring more percentage on that capture. So they're going to probably be about above 50, almost 60% on that next attack for Marymount. And it should be coming in any second now as ODU's already set up here. Going to be looking to score. And we see that Marymount attack start to come in right now. And ODU is set up for it. Again, looking for that height advantage. That control of the point gives you.
Utilizing that height advantage like you mentioned right there.
And that's just one of those advantages of playing on the defensive here is you have control of where the fight occurs. And so now Marymount is at that disadvantage. They're going to have to fight their way up to you. And that makes it just so much harder. We see eliminations coming out. 4 or 5 eliminations against Marymount. And that's a team wipe.
You see the 10-player kill streak right there. Team kill for ODU there.
That was phenomenal just gameplay by ODU. Controlling that and ending that fight, not allowing anybody to retreat out means that Marymount is just at a huge disadvantage. And we see a ton of ultimates on the side of ODU just sitting, waiting to be used. If they want to use them, they're going to have to use them quick, though.
It will not matter. Marymount will lose this round, 100% to 0. ODU just capitalizing with early siege, winning their gunfights early on and being able to get the angles, and Marymount just wasn't able to capitalize once ODU settled in.
And so that is going to be the end of our first map there. And of course, I mean, just absolutely phenomenal gameplay by ODU. We were able to see that team kill coming out. We were able to see that 10-player kill streak. And it was just ODU was able to get themselves into position early, and that allowed them to just dominate throughout the entirety of the map in both rounds. And we saw that in the result.
You also have to see that Marymount did not actually get any percent at all in any of those rounds, which just shows how dominant the ODU really brought to the table, just because of the fact that they really got the early advantage points. They got the angles that they needed once they won those first gunfights to get the point and start securing the early advantage, and it was just all around good effort from ODU.
There also seemed to be really good communication by the ODU players. As you could tell, they already set themselves up for the defense pretty early, and they knew exactly their roles so that the moment the fight came to them, they were all prepared, they were all set up, and they could just immediately start repulsing it and start ending the offensive that Marymount was mounting. And so this will be the second map starting up soon. And again, this is the best of 5, so whichever team wins 3 maps first will win.
The next map we will be playing Hybrid, which would be a game mode where one team, the attackers, will be moving with the car, or what is it called actually? It's not the payload.
I don't know the exact name. But so essentially the game mode is there's almost a mine cart.
It's escort, but there's a vehicle as well, and you escort that vehicle through the checkpoints, and you have a certain amount of time in each time limit to get to each checkpoint. If the attacking team is not able to get to the checkpoint in the given time, the defenders will win the round, and if the attackers can get to both checkpoints, then they'll be able to win the round, and that'll be the next game mode, which is Hybrid, which we are still trying to figure out which map they are going to be playing on. It looks like they will be playing on Hollywood, actually.
This is a map that I'm not as familiar with, but we should see it in about a second, and we'll get a better feel for it. But it looks like, yeah, it's going to be a pretty diverse map just because it is taking place in Hollywood. They'll be going through different sound stages and whatnot. And so right now they're just loading up the map, and then we will be into the game to take a look at it all and show you guys ODU's loadout and their plans.
What are you hoping to see out of them coming out of the gates for game 2 here?
Well, I want to see that early dominance that we saw in the last map, but I want to see them really having a plan ahead of time and executing on it. If they're able to just get a good plan out and move forward with it, they'll do plenty fine on this. And here we see it starting off. Punching a trash can for good luck back there. So ODU is moving up. They are on defense.
They will be defending the checkpoints.
And so they're going to want to prevent Marymount from being able to get the objective through their checkpoints. And if you see that little red line on the ground, that is where the payload is going to come through. So ODU is setting themselves up right now to defend kind of from that high ground. And here we see it. ODU with one player out in the forward to kind of maybe start stalling that Marymount attack or draw them in a little bit maybe. And we see that ODU attack just come straight out. And ODU trying to corner and cover these Marymount players and prevent them from getting in. And it looks like a little bit of contesting going on right here.
It looks like ODU will prevent the first attack for Marymount and defend Objective A. You can see Marymount almost got to the first tick. You can see on each circle that there are 3 ticks. If you get it past each tick, you will not go back down any more than each tick that you make it to in this game mode, which will be very valuable as time goes on.
And we see Marymount beginning their next attack here. They do only have 3 minutes on the clock, so they're going to want to get as much capture as they can in that time to add more time to their clock. And ODU's just doing a good job here, maintaining again that high ground advantage and trying to take down that May wall that was put up. And we're seeing some good eliminations coming out. Legend 9 getting one right there. And again, setting up for the defense of the next attack from Marymount. And it's going to take you about 30 seconds off the clock each time you have an attack that you for you to regroup and get ready. So it really starts to add up quickly. And here we see that coming out. ODU already with some eliminations. And it's down to just Blocklander for Marymount, who's going to retreat out. And again, that's just going to take more and more time off the clock. So you're looking at probably only 4 attacks if Marymount's able to quickly regroup after each one and ODU doesn't stagger them at all. Which ODU has been pretty good about, well, has killed, eliminated pretty much the entire Marymount team on each of these attacks without a whole lot of staggering, as we see 2 eliminations coming out right there. And staggering is the strategy where you kind of pick them off a little bit more one by one so that they take longer to regroup to cut down on time. But ODU apparently feels pretty confident, and they're willing to just take the elimination and force Marymount to retreat out. And yeah, again, we see
that Marymount's going to have to regroup again. Have yet to get any percentage with a minute 30 left in this round.
So that's going to be a difficult thing for Marymount to defend, is because they haven't been able to get any good a lot of capture here. If they're not able to get more on it, that means that the ODU attack is going to be just that they have to beat what Marymount has done. And again, we're seeing those eliminations coming out, and that's a lot of that is because ODU is able to so effectively flank Marymount's tanks and prevent those high health players from protecting their higher DPS teammates.
And with 45 seconds left, this is basically like a last push territory for Marymount. They haven't been able to get any percentage off on the objective yet, but maybe they could be able to do something here in this final push. ODU's been using the Vantage very usefully, though.
And we see Marymount trying some new things in this attack here, but it doesn't look like it's working out with 3 of their players eliminated. They might skip regrouping altogether and just do a full-out push until it's done if with how little time is left. And ODU's going to want to try to stop that with less than 10 seconds on the clock. Marymount pushing up, and ODU moving, seeing eliminations coming out for Niche. Beep Cheap getting 2 there. And that is the end of that first round. So now ODU does not have a huge hurdle ahead of them. They've just got to score a little bit on that first objective to win this second map. So now ODU is going to be on attacking team. And they're going to have to pick their heroes to see what they're going to do. Again, I doubt they're really going to change their lineup that much. These are the heroes that ODU really feels confident with. So they're probably going to stick with them as much as possible. But we will see what ODU chooses. And once their first attack comes out, we'll have a better idea. And yep, keeping pretty consistent. Looks like minor changes, but nothing too dramatic. I believe that's a Doomfist coming out for Beep Sheep, who is very confident with Doomfist. It's one of his favorite heroes. He loves to pull him out and make use of him. And so we'll hopefully get to see some very exciting gameplay from that. And pretty similar setup as last round for Marymount. So we'll see how this sets them up for defense there. That May wall might come in handy on defense, being able to set yourself up and maybe cut off one of the angles of attack for ODU. And here we see ODU pushing forward. And they're going to be looking to push through. We see Marymount already set up in the spot ODU was using. ODU in a little bit difficult spot here as you are on attack, but it looks like they're getting a bit of a flank off.
Index with the flank. That's a big... He's trying to get out of there.
When Index is brought pretty low there. Beep Sheep coming in with Doomfist. We see 3 eliminations go out for on the side of ODU.
And ODU can get this point.
And they're really getting a good contesting there.
And that's all they had to get.
That's that. So that'll be the second map going to ODU.
Since Marymount wasn't able to get a tick and point A, all Old Dominion had to do was get the first tick, and they were able to get the victory pretty easily. They're pretty quick.
So yeah, it was just pretty clean gameplay, especially the biggest thing there was that defense. If you're starting out on defense, the biggest thing you want to do is make it so that your attack is as easy as possible, and that's what ODU was able to do. Preventing Marymount from getting a single tick there meant that all you had to do was just get that first one, and you were able to do it, which meant that the defense for Marymount was that much harder because generally, if you get wiped out on that first one, they're gonna get that first tick pretty easily. It's not that hard to get, and normally you're able to get in and push them off of the point before they're able to get that second tick. So not getting that first tick for Marymount essentially meant that ODU needed to win one fight, and that's all ODU did was they won that one fight, get that tick, and go home.
And you really haven't been seeing the tanks play much of an advantage for Marymount. You would like to see the tanks be more of a factor for your team because the tanks have the shields, and those shields are very big when you're making pushes into the lanes and whatnot. And you could see throughout that game that the tanks would try to make their push, but no matter the push, the Old Dominion would use the advantage to their advantage and just be able to get their easy kills and not let Marymount get any tick whatsoever throughout that game.
And also ODU's ability to get I believe it was Index, yes. It was Index on just in the middle of Marymount's defense really broke up their rhythm and made it really difficult for Marymount to be able to get that defense really going. And that was just ODU had a plan and they were able to execute it because again, oftentimes you're not going to want to send up kind of a squishier character like your support into the middle of the combat, but ODU felt very confident that they had Marymount kind of pinned down on that defense that they could send Index in and behind and just make it so all of their players now immediately had to swap their attention over to Index. And the fact that Index was able to make it out just meant that ODU, again, just felt so good going in that they could get that first tick.
And it looks like we're getting into map 3, which would be Route 66, which is going to be Escort, which you will be escorting the payload through the checkpoints. And it looks like Old Dominion could be on defending side first. Yes, Old Dominion will be on defending side.
And so, yeah, again, the point of this is just to get that payload as far as possible. The distance you send it will, if you're attacker first, will determine how far the second round people have to get it. Though there is a checkpoint you do have to go through to be able to capture it, I believe.
And you are on a time limit as well. If you're not able to get to the checkpoint through that time, then your round is over with and you're not able to continue, which makes it easier for the team that goes second to get their push pretty easily and get past whatever they weren't able to in the first time.
And we're seeing a pretty normal setup from Marymount with most of their standard heroes coming out, it looks like. But ODU making some swaps to their loadout here. Again, they lost that Doomfist and their Monkey. So it's going to be a little bit different to see how they react here. But again, this is defense for them on this first round, so they're going to get a good opportunity here to stop Marymount and prevent them from getting forward. And we see they've already chosen this is the spot where they're going to hold their defense. And this is a pretty far forward position, so they are planning on probably retreating back at least a little bit if they're not able to win a lot of these gunfights. But we see Beep Cheap going down early to Marymount. And Marymount's going to start pushing that payload forward. And we're seeing a solid attack coming out from Marymount. Big forward with that Diva. Pushing almost directly onto the ODU defense. But we're seeing Optimal getting a elimination off on Genko there. And ODU's looking to get, again, that flank on those tanks. And Beep Cheap sitting back with that sniper is just going to be dealing damage. And Index and Niche doing a good cleanup job there on Awkward and Blocklander, and then Ava.
Those picks will stop the payload advancement, so ODU will be able to regroup, get their angles, and be able to fight off another Marymount attack.
And when the payload's not being pushed forward by Marymount, it is going to start getting pushed slowly backwards by ODU. So as Marymount regroups here, they are losing just a little bit of distance. And ODU is going to really fight to keep those inches going backwards. See that Marymount push coming up there. They're using that tank to kind of tank damage for them. But that sniper is watching that flank there as Marymount starts to attack through the tunnel. And we're seeing a elimination on I don't know coming out early. Optimal Height getting it. And it looks like Marymount's going to be kind of held into that tunnel, not able to get anywhere. Optimal and Beep both getting eliminations there. Beep with another one. And that is going to be the end of that fight as ODU starts to push the payload back under this arch. ODU's got to be careful not to push too far up ahead, though, where it could give Marymount an advantage to get the kills on them. And there we see Beep Cheap setting up with his sniper to hold this spot. We have Optimal pushed up a little bit, and he's going to retreat back out once that tank comes forward because he's not going to be able to hold that.
He will get the kill there, though. And Beep Cheap with another kill.
And we just see those high damage players coming out for ODU getting those kills and stopping those attacks by Marymount pretty quickly. And again, while they seem to be getting a lot of the kills, a lot of that is simply because they've got those players in the backfield, like Niche and like Legend, who are just distracting the Marymount players and preventing them from being able to get off damage on the squishier ODU players like Beep Cheap.
As Marymount makes a little push, ODU's defense just gets through and be able to get the kills and push the attack back.
And again, we see that little bit of a flank coming out because of that high ground advantage there. Legend 9 able to push Marymount forward. And that is going to be another 2 eliminations going to the side of ODU. And they're going to be holding this payload with only 30 seconds remaining.
Only 46 meters has the payload been traveled, but it is going to be going back slowly with ODU pushing it back as Marymount gathers back for a final attack possibly.
And ODU is going to be probably holding them here as 15 seconds remain for Marymount to get to that first checkpoint. Getting a bit of a push and a lot of attacks coming out here for ODU. And we're seeing 2 eliminations going to ODU, 3 eliminations as we are in overtime. Now ODU needs to get Marymount off of the objective.
And they will get the kills, and that will be it for ODU. So 46 meters is what ODU has to beat in this next round to win the round and the match, actually.
And that's not very far. That was not that far from the Marymount spawn. So ODU has an opportunity here to really just push forward and get that map win pretty quickly here. We'll see what they do for their hero choices, but it may not be too different from what they chose on this round, just because, again, they did very well with it. Though they might want to swap out maybe Beep Cheap's sniper for maybe someone a little bit more mobile and maybe a little bit less squishy, but that's up to their choice and what they feel good with. And yeah, we're going to see Beep Cheap coming out with that Doom Fist, which is just going to give them a little bit more DPS as opposed to the kind of more stationary flanking of the sniper. But looks like Optimal is going to be a sniper anyways, as well as Legend 9. So we'll see what ODU's plan is here. But again, they've just got to get at 46 meters, so it should hopefully be only 1 or 2 fights for ODU to be able to pull that off if they win them. But they're about to start, and we'll see. And again, we're seeing the monkey come out. And the monkey's name is Winston, for anyone wondering, but in a lot of the Overwatch players do refer to him as the monkey. And we see a
you can see the sniper shot from Optimal there.
Pretty good defense coming out here for Marymount, but ODU is going to be kind of pushing them backwards, as Marymount did choose a pretty forward position to start their defense on, but the eliminations are coming out, and ODU is able to get that point, get that objective moving forward.
ODU got the big elimination of the tanks there, as the tanks were in a big fight, and with the tanks going down, gave ODU the chance to escort the payload.
And ODU has less than 5 meters to push it.
And that is it.
That's going to be your third map. And that is going to be the end of this matchup. ODU versus Marymount. So, Old Dominion players have got to feel really good right now. You pull off that 3-0 here. That's going to be your second win on the season. You know, this is a great place to really start momentum moving for later on in the season. Really get yourself moving forward. And again, you saw a really clean gameplay from them. So this should just be a really big confidence boost to the team. Get them in a great spot to just keep pushing forward.
Old Dominion improves their record to 2-3 on the season. As we had mentioned earlier, they came into this match 1-3. Marymount, unfortunately, will not have a win tonight. They will be in search for another win next week, whenever they play their next game or whatnot. But it was just a stellar effort for Old Dominion. Their defense really set the tone early and all the matches, and with their defense setting the tone pretty early on, basically just changed how the mindset ODU would play with, and basically just made everything so much easier for them when it came to the attacking side.
And I gotta say, one of the things that I really liked was seeing ODU swap up their heroes a lot. Was they felt confident with a variety of heroes. They felt confident with a variety of team compositions here. That they knew they could swap around, they could change up what they were doing based on the plan that they had in mind, as opposed to building their plan around their heroes. They could build their heroes around their plan. And that just means you've got a lot more versatility. You've got a lot of options. You can maybe counter a team that you know is really looking to use a specific hero or really looking to use a specific team comp. And that's really just such a great option to keep in your back pocket. But I believe that's everything we have for you guys tonight. So thank you for watching Old Dominion University Esports Overwatch take on Marymount University. As always, I'm James Doherty.
I'm Benjamin.
Have a great night, and make sure to follow us here and on Twitter to make sure you never miss a stream. Have a fantastic night.